Qantas to cut domestic breakouts as energy prices soar. The advertisement comes as passenger figures are set to launch during Academy leaves, and numbers show airlines had the loftiest cancellation rate last month. Qantas will further cut its domestic flight schedule in response to rising energy prices, as the airline blazoned it would give nearly 000 workers a $0.000 payment to partake in the benefits of its recovery. The advertisement comes as airfields brace for a period of cushion demand driven by an Academy vacation rush, and as the civil government verified Qantas had the loftiest rate of cancellations of any domestic airline last month. Passenger figures are sloped to swell to pandemic situations from Friday, the last day of the Academy term in Victoria and Queensland. Seminaries close a week laterally in New South Wales and Western Australia. Qantas said on Thursday it would pull out all the stops to ensure dislocations faced by trippers at Easter weren't repeated during the vacation period. The airline has tried to put some of the blame on staff dearths at airfields, with Qantas Master Alan Joyce reportedly writing to field chiefs to raise the issue. In a request update on Friday, the airline cast it would make a significant loss this time of between 450 meters and 550 meters, with Qantas Group prognosticating it would return to beginning profit in the coming fiscal time. It also blazoned it'll give 000 workers a $0.000 payment once the new enterprise log rolling agreements covering them are perfected. Qantas will spend about 87 meters on the staff payments. The payment comes after a two-time company-wide pay envelope snap. In a statement, Joyce said the company can't go to permanently increase hires beyond the 2% threshold we've set, but we can go to make this one-off payment on top of the Qantas share rights we've formerly given. For July and August, the airline will cut a further 5 of capacity on top of the 10 it formerly blazoned. The 15 reductions in capacity will last through September, with capacity cut by 10 from October to March. The airline will communicate guests reserved on breakouts that are cut. While Qantas has not blazoned any reductions in its transnational capacity on Friday, it said the group will be flying at 83 of pre-COVID situations by the financial quarter beginning in July, down from 90 in the current quarter. Ahead of the July leaves, Qantas has also sought to thank guests for their tolerance and understanding during what has been a grueling renew for the assiduity encyclopedically. Qantas has been heavily blamed for delayed baggage and poor on-time performance this time, with the Transport Workers Union claiming the airline's decision to outsource baggage handling staff is contributing to the issues. Qantas said there will be a 15 increase in ground handling staff during the July vacation compared with staffing situations during the Easter leaves. The TWU blamed the condition that workers would only admit the $0.000 payment once their applicable EBA was perfected, and called for the payments to be made to all workers, including lately outsourced ground instructors. The strings attached to this sham payment are just further paid envelope repression tactics Qantas has come habituated to under the 15-time Joyce governance. All workers, especially those immorally sacked by Qantas operation, are owed this payment and far more, Public Clerk Michael Caine said. This tactic kills two catcalls with one gravestone: distract the angry public from Qantas getting the worst performing airline, and pressure workers into accepting pay envelope freezes that will crush pay and conditions at the field for decades, Caine said. Joyce also blazoned on Friday that budget carrier Jetstar's principal superintendent, Gareth Evans, will step down from his part in December. Department of Transport numbers showed Qantas network had an on-time appearance rate of 60.7 in May, compared with Virgin Australia with 65.7 and Rex with 75.5. Qantas also recorded the loftiest rate of cancellations in May, at 7.6, while Rex Airlines recorded the smallest, at 1.4. The indigenous airline took a poke at its contender over the rearmost data. Rex treats its guests with respect and decency. We don't cancel breakouts en masse and we don't lose truckloads of our passengers' luggage, the airline said in a statement on Thursday. Sydney Field is vaticinating further than 2 million passengers to pass through its doors between 24 June and 17 July, with 1.5 million of them anticipated to take a domestic flight. Melbourne Field is awaiting analogous numbers, with further than 2.1 million people prognosticated to pass through its outstations. The Sydney Field Principal Superintendent, Jeff Culbert, advised passengers to prepare for ranges amid wide staffing problems. The root cause of these challenges is that every business at the field is rebuilding its pool and doing it in the tightest jobs request in nearly half a century, he said. We have got a small favor to ask. Millions are turning to The Guardian for open, independent, quality news every day, and compendiums in 180 countries around the world now support us financially. We believe everyone deserves access to information that's predicated on wisdom and verity, and analysis embedded in authority and integrity. That's why we made a different choice to keep our reporting open for all compendiums, anyhow of where they live or what they can go to pay. This means further people can be better informed, united, and inspired to take meaningful action. In these dangerous times, a verity-seeking global news association like The Guardian is essential. We've no shareholders or billionaire possessors, meaning our journalism is free from marketable and political influence. This makes us different. When it's no way been more important, our independence allows us to valorously probe, challenge, and expose those in power. Support The Guardian from as little as $1, it only takes a minute. However, please consider supporting us with a regular quantum each month, if you can. Thank you. British Airways Heathrow staff back summer strikes over pay. Hundreds of British Airways workers at Heathrow Airport have suggested going on strike over pay. United GMB union members who are substantially check-in staff backed artificial action on Thursday. An aggregate of 700 workers is set to strike during the summer leaves when demand from trippers is anticipated to be near pre-pandemic situations. The union said the action was due to a 10 pay cut assessed during the peak of the epidemic not being reinstated. Some 500 Unite members recorded in a 94.7 vote in favor of artificial action, while 95 GMB members backed the strikes. The strike dates will be verified in the coming days. The proposed action relates to smaller than 50 British Airways staff grounded at Heathrow and client-facing places only, and there are other client service workers who haven't been balloted. It's understood that if strikes go ahead, BA, which operates from outstations 3 and 5 at Heathrow, has plans to cover staff, including directors potentially dealing with checkways. Still, there would still be a dislocation for passengers, especially at Terminal 5, leading to cancellations, which would be concentrated on routes with several diurnal breakouts. The GMB claimed that while other British Airways workers have been given a 10 perk, the check-in staff have had nothing. BA said it was extremely disappointing with the result of the ballot. Despite the extremely grueling terrain and losses of further than £4 bn, we made an offer of a 10 payment which was accepted by the majority of other associates, a statement said. The airline said it was committed to addresses to find a result with unions. The BBC understands a 10 pay rise has been accepted by another corridor of BA's business, including by ground operations, engineering, and cabin crew workers, who are also represented by Unite and GMB. Unite officer Russ Ball indicted BA of having disrespected this pool, slashing pay by 10 to restore it to directors but not to our members. Ball said the airline had a short window of occasion to over workers' pay to pandemic situations or face strikes that would inescapably beget severe dislocation. Meanwhile, Nadine Houghton, GMB public officer, said BA had tried to offer our members motes from the table in the form of a 10 one-off perk payment, but this does not cut the mustard. It's not too late to save the summer leaves. Other BA workers have had their pay cuts reversed. Do the same for ground and check-in staff and this artificial action can be nipped in the bud, she added. Downing Street prompted both sides to come together to find an agreement, adding that strike action would only add to the misery being faced by passengers at airfields. A Number 10 spokesperson said the government expects BA to put in place contingency measures to ensure that as little dislocation is caused, and that where there's the dislocation that passengers can be reimbursed. This is going to be a delicate summer for British Airways. IT problems and staff dearths have formerly hit its operations this time. Now you can add artificial action to the blend. Check-in staff at Heathrow are set to walk out during the summer peak. The airline will have contingency plans in place, but with systems formerly under strain, dislocation seems ineluctable. The airline insists it wants to work with staff, and that its 10 one-off perk offer was a prelude to meaningful pay addresses. It's still under pressure too. The assiduity has not completely recovered. But the problem it's facing is that when the cuts were first assessed, numerous staff were deeply worried by what they saw as the heavy-handed approach to the airline's operation. And now, it's enough clear that numerous workers simply do not trust the word of their directors. Jeff Payne worked as a BA administrator at Terminal 5 at Heathrow, but took voluntary redundancy in August 2020 and is now a mailman in Surrey. Payne, who worked for the airline 24 times, said he'd the option to return to BA when the transnational trip renewed but decided against it when he was offered his old job for lower plutocrat. It was £000 a time less than what I was being paid when I left, he said. When I left the pay was £000 plus shift pay, which is a redundant quantum you get for starting at irregular hours like 4 a.m. When they offered me my job back it was £000 plus shift pay and no guarantee over what shifts we'd be put on. To be honest, it's not worth getting out of bed for. I loved working there and I do miss it. Payne said he believed BA was a great company and its staff watched for passengers, but added its heads need to manage it better. Knockouts of thousands of passengers have been hit by field dislocation and flight cancellations in recent weeks. Hundreds of breakouts across the UK were cancelled during the week of the Platinum Jubilee and Academy half-term leaves, and enterprises have been raised to farther trip straights during the summer. The dislocation has been caused by several factors, but staff dearths have left the aeronautics assiduity floundering to manage with resurgent demand for an overseas trip. Heathrow Airport has increased its periodic passenger cast formally again. The UK's largest field says it expects 54.4 million passengers to travel through its outstations, over by nearly 9 million on the guidance it gave in December. Fresh reporting from Rosina Sini of the BBC's UGC Platoon.